Welcome back to SportsLine. JB, along with Tennessee State head football coach Rod Reed, as we talk a little OVC college football. Good to have you here, my friend.
Like I said, man, it's always good to be here in your presence.
Oh man, well you're the star. I'm just the star maker.
There you go.
All right, let's get to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. OVC Media Days was this past Monday, and your wide receiver, your outstanding wide receiver, Stephen Newbold, had some interesting comments about the quality of defensive backs in the OVC. He basically came out and said they're really not that good. Now, Newbold had a great year last year, 34 catches, 627 yards, 4 touchdowns, had that great zigzagging 44-yard touchdown just for the half against Florida A&M last year. Coach, I know that you want your players to kind of show a little humility in the media and maybe not give out as much bulletin board material. What was your reaction when you heard what Stephen said, because you were right next to him when it happened? I
couldn't reach him. I couldn't reach him. I was trying to grab him and get him to look my way or something. But that's Stephen. That's who he is, and I don't think that he meant it in a disrespectful way, or he just feels like he's that good, and he feels like if he has the ball in his hands, he's going to make some things happen. So you look at his average yard per catch, it was just like he said, it was like that in high school. It was kind of funny. He said, you guys just don't realize I've been doing this a long time, and
I'm really good.
If you see some of the plays that he makes in practice, some of the catches that he makes in practice, you would understand where he's coming from. But he's got to be able to show a little bit more humility. But
did you talk to him afterwards?
Absolutely, absolutely. And right afterwards, I said something to him. He was like, "What? What?
What I say?
What I say wrong?" Yeah. And I was like, "Come on, Steve, you know better." But he's a kid that always wants to give his teammates the glory. He'll talk about the offensive line, the running backs, the blocking, and all of that. But he's extremely confident in what he can do and his abilities. And now he's going to have to be supremely confident, because
they're going to be gunning for him this year,
they're going to be gunning for him. He put the bullseye on his back.
But he basically came out and said, "Look, just give me the ball.
Just give me the ball."
And so you got to like having a guy like that, especially a skill position guy on your team that has that kind of attitude. Just give me the ball. I'll make things happen. And
the work ethic too. I mean, here's a kid that he's going to get out. If he got to run shadow routes by himself, he's going to be out there doing that. But he's a kid that, you can't have too many workouts. He's going to be there. He's going to be the first one there. He's going to be the last one to leave. He's going to be doing an extra. If you ever looked at a timeout in the defensive huddle, I mean, he's in the defensive huddle, amping the defensive guys up and, telling them, hey, let's get the ball back, get us the ball back one more time. He's that kind of guy. He's a high-energy guy. So we expect a lot out of him. We expect him to be a leader for this football team, and I think he's going to have a tremendous season.
And for the record, I've interviewed Stephen many times, and he couldn't be more polite and respectful. So, and that's a reflection of all your players, and that's a reflection of you. I know that's something you teach, because a big part of what you do, obviously you coach football and you're trying to win, but you're also trying to prepare these young men for life after football, right?
I think that's huge. I think that's huge. You're only going to play this game. There's a small window there for kids to play the game of football, and the average life span of professional football players is about 3.5 years. You're going to be out of college when you're 21, 22 years old. And so if I do make it to the NFL, which is 1% of all college athletes make it there, I probably got about a 3 or 4 year window to get there. I mean to stay there. And you're talking about 25, 26 years old. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? That's why that college degree is so important. And I tell my guys all the time, don't let football define who you are as a person. Use it as a vehicle for you to get your education. And once you got that, nobody can take that from you. And you can use that to do other things in life other than football. So we preach not letting football define who we are as young men.
Let's talk about last season a little bit. Started off great. Had a big win against Georgia State, first win against an FBS opponent, a huge win. Started off, I believe, 3-0, correct? And then you mentioned it. We've seen your teams get off to hot starts, and then towards the middle of the season, Usually the injuries start piling up and there's kind of a lull there. What do you think happened last year? What do you got to do this year to prevent that kind of situation?
I think we addressed it in recruiting a little bit. I think our depth is a little bit better along the offense and defensive front. Obviously, some of that depth will be with some freshman offensive linemen and some young defensive linemen, but our linebacker depth, we're 2 deep, maybe 2.5 deep there. On the defensive line, in the inside, we can probably go with 4 or 5 guys there and about 3 or 4 guys on the defensive end rotation. And on the offensive line, I think we fortified that tremendously. So I think the depth at the running back position also, but last year we got some key guys hurt. When Ebo went down, and his production was really off the chart for us when it came to rushing the pass and getting off the field on 3rd down. So we've got to do a better job of preserving those reps. We got to get guys in and out. We got to rotate a little bit better and make sure that when we get to the meat of the season that we're maintaining that and that we can finish at the end, because I think that's going to have to do with nutrition. That's going to have to do with taking care of your bodies.
Right.
That's going to have to do with getting proper rest. You do a lot of personal training. you know all of that good stuff. But a lot of these guys don't realize that. They're young. They think they can stay up all night and play PlayStation and get up and go to class and come. You got to take care of your body.
Eat Taco Bell.
Eat
and
Taco
whatever.
Bell, yeah. You got to take care of your body. So those are some of the things that we've addressed, and Ms. Phillips and her staff are really trying to help us out with that. So we're going to do what we can to make the best with what we got. But I think that the depth that we have will help us a little bit. The secondary, we probably need 1 or 2 more guys back there, but we've got some quality frontline guys back there returning. So I'm really excited about the season.
Yeah, it's funny because those injuries, it seems like it's been a theme every year. How frustrating is that as a coach?
It's really frustrating because 1 or 2 players, on either side of the ball can set the tone for whether you're going up or down. But I think, like I said, with the depth that we have and the quality depth that we have, it's going to help us out a little bit this year. Yeah,
you mentioned some of your key players on defense, a couple of defensive backs that are really stand out for you, Vincent Sellers and DeJour Nesbitt. Talk about those guys a little bit and what they mean to your defense and your secondary.
Well, before I talk about them, I want to talk about L'Aquarius Cook.
Okay.
L'Aquarius Cook is the glue back there. He's a kid that he's a senior free safety. He makes all the calls back there. He gets Sellers and those guys lined up.
Right.
DeJour is a young kid that we played early. I think he's going to be a junior. He was a kid that they picked preseason All-OVC. Sellers was a freshman of the year, freshman All-American last year. So those are some young guys that are really going to, I think, do well for us. But, Cook is the glue. We had a surprise in the secondary in the spring. Nick Harper Jr., he played really well in the spring. We got Neiman Armstrong coming back. Ray Coggins is a kid that was a prop kid last year out of Lebanon that was a really highly recruited kid that we'll have out there this year. So we're really excited about the back end of our defense, But the best pass defense is a pass rush.
Oh, yeah.
So, we've added some guys that can rush the passes, so we feel really good about where we are.
That opening win last year, it did so much for the program, and I remember talking to you the day after when you guys got back. You had a little trouble getting back from Georgia that day, but I'm sure it was a great bus ride home. Talk about that win and what it meant for you and what it meant for the program.
It was huge. Anytime that you can get on the national spotlight and be the FBS program at their place, that's always huge for, not just for us, it was huge for our conference.
Yeah.
To be able to go in and do something like that. And I think that our kids were up for the challenge. We never went in that game thinking that, we were inferior to anybody. Our kids went in there expecting to win, and that's what we teach them. That's what we preach. You expect to play great, every game. And I think that for us to go in and pull off that victory, it was huge for just Tennessee State and the marketing, to get your brand out there around the country, beating the FBS program. It was an unbelievable feeling for me as a coach. It was kind of surreal, after the game, walking across the field, getting ready to shake this guy's hand, and we just beat these guys, and they just opened up this stadium, and there was a whole lot of festivities surrounding that game for them.
Right.
And I mean, but you know, that was a quality program. I think they came back and finished maybe first or second in that conference and ended up going to a bowl game. So, you know, in retrospect, it was a huge win.
I just remember seeing you the next day, and you still had like this glazed look on your face. You had this look on your face like, did we just really pull that off?
It was a little, like I said, surreal. And but you know, we as a coaching staff, you know, we felt like that we could go in there and win that football game, and our kids were extremely confident in that game, and they played like it. You know, we never lost control of that football game from start to finish.
No question about it. Head coach Rod Reed of Tennessee State is here, taking your phone calls. Give us a call. We'd like to hear from you. Going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your offense. Another year, another quarterback situation for the Big Blue Tigers. We'll get into that, and we're going to look at the schedule. You get another opportunity maybe to beat a team that maybe you should have beat a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that and plenty more with the coach. Stay with us.